Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us today for this special New York Times for Kids event. I'm Lovia, an editor of the section. The New York Times for Kids is a special section that runs in the paper on the last Sunday of every month, and it's made just for you. I have an example of our last issue here so you can see what it looks like. This issue was all about the coronavirus and how it's affected our lives. Some of my favorite stories from this issue included the science behind why soap is awesome, a look at how different countries are dealing with the virus, and quarantine accounts from some of our readers. Our May issue, which comes out this Sunday, has even more news. We've got stories about why journalists have to fact check everything, why TikTok is getting more political, and how the coronavirus is affecting our food supply chain. But today I'm joined by Tim O'Shea, an author, journalist, teacher, and contributor to this month's issue to talk about a story that I'm really excited about.
Thanks, Lovia. I really appreciate you having me, and I loved having the chance to write this story for our May edition. I talked to teenagers from around the country who are doing part-time and volunteer jobs that now make them one of the many millions of essential workers across the United States. We have 3 of them here today, and we're going to talk to them right now about how the pandemic has impacted their jobs and what they're doing to stay both safe and sane.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to our 3 panelists today. But before we begin, a couple of housekeeping notes. 1, this event is being recorded. And 2, you may submit questions at any time during the Q&A using the Q&A feature in Zoom, and we'll get to them a little bit later in the discussion. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guests, Jacob Stewart, Leah Giles, and Bradley Boaz. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good.
Pretty good.
Good. I'm so excited to have you here today. And I think just to start, can you each say your name, age, where you live, and what your job is? And why don't we start with Bradley and then go to Leah and then go to Jacob?
Yeah, I'll start. So my name is Bradley Boaz. I'm 18. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I'm a cashier / front service clerk at Publix supermarkets.
I'm Leah Giles. I live in Niagara Falls, New York. I'm 18, and I'm an activities leader at a nursing home.
Hey y'all, I'm Jacob. I'm 17 and I'm a firefighter.
Nice. Okay. I think my first question for you guys is if you could just tell everyone a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like, even before the pandemic. So why don't we just go in that same order with Bradley, Leah, and then Jacob.
Yeah, so our day-to-day at the job at the grocery store hasn't changed too much. It's just a lot busier. Like we get a big rush hour, surprisingly, at 2 o'clock. It usually was only on the weekends, like Saturday, Sunday, but now we get it like every day. So there's just a lot more people, and we see that there's a lot less employees because people I've seen a substantial amount of call outs and people are quarantining themselves. So it puts a lot more responsibility on people like myself who are at the job.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Bradley, could you just tell us what you do in your role specifically, like what that entails?
Yeah, so what I do is I'm just there for the customer. So if there's a line and I'm not already on a register, I'll jump on one and get the customers out of the door happy so they can come back next time. And so I'm usually bagging or cleaning or literally anything in the store, cashiering.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Leah?
So day to day hasn't really changed that much either. So like in the mornings, we'll always start with like an exercise activity for the residents. And then throughout the day, we'll kind of just schedule in different activities before lunch, and then we'll serve them lunch, and then we'll do more in the afternoon. But one of the big differences is now that we can only have at 5 tops, like 5 residents in an activity, just so we can try and make sure they're as distant as possible from each other. So a lot of the bigger group, like entertainment factors and stuff that we get, obviously can't come anymore.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to, keep them busy as much as we can.
And can you give us an example of activities that you would do with the residents?
One of the activities that they really like to do is balloon volleyball. And that's, it's fun just to, keeps them engaged and gets them moving. And I usually put music on too, so they can try and keep it going to the beat. And they really like that. So that's always fun to do.
Okay, nice. And you, Jacob?
So things really haven't changed much at all. It just got a little busier at times, just depending on what's going on at the time. But other than that, it really hasn't changed. Still getting the same amount of call volume, still getting everything that we usually get. So yeah, everything's just been the same.
That's fair. That's fair.
And
right.
about
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jacob.
oh, I thought you had something to say. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to punt it over to Tim to ask, and if he has any follow-up questions.
Yeah,
I
keep
got
going, Jacob. If you got something, keep going.
It's just more things you got to do.
Mhm.
Depends.
Yeah, and Jacob, let me ask you to explain for everybody watching out there something that we were all talking about right before we went live. You tell everybody about where you live, and then you live in a smaller town, and then there's a big city nearby where there's a lot more happening. Can you describe to people both of those things? And you've got jobs in both places. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
So yeah, I live in Selma, Louisiana. It's a pretty small town right outside of Baton Rouge, and it basically a lot increased more in Baton Rouge than it really has in Ascension Parish. But it just a lot more in Baton Rouge because a lot of people are just traveling. It's a touristy area, so it just depends on what's going on, how many people. It's like all together than out here.
And Jacob, I originally found you when I was looking around the country for people for the story through the Emergency Medical Services program called an Explorer program in East Baton Rouge. So essentially a program for teenagers who want to become medics, and they led me to you. You told me back when we first connected maybe a month ago that you guys had made a family decision not for you to go straight up to East Baton Rouge and be working on ambulances there yet. But you mentioned you're going back soon, right?
Yes, I am.
So
I'm going back on Friday.
So you're going back. Okay, so you're going back in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So so now you're going up there, and there's more going on. What's going through your mind? Like, how do you mentally prepare to go up there and do the job in the midst of the pandemic?
You just gotta think nothing's bad is gonna happen. It's hopefully hope for the best, and let's the things to do a thing,
Leah, let me go to you, and then Bradley, I'm going to throw the same question to you. So for Leah first, then Bradley. How do you prepare for each day? And obviously, what Jacob's doing is very different from working in a senior home or a nursing home, and very different from working in a grocery store. But when you're walking in that you are going out to work during a pandemic, and you're working, Leah, with older people who are especially vulnerable. And Bradley, of course, you're dealing with the wide public. You don't know what's coming at you, right? So Leah, how do you prepare for each day? What do you tell yourself to kind of keep focused and do the job really well?
My main thing is just remembering that I'm going there to make them happy. Like, yeah, it is obviously it's very scary, and but just knowing that like I'm one of the only people that they really get to see, since their family members can't obviously come to visit, that definitely makes it worth it, just because a lot of them really rely on interaction with other people. So just seeing like a different face other than like the people that like live there with them, that's it definitely helps coming into work. It doesn't make me as worried about a lot of the things going on.
Nice. I remember, Leah, when we were talking before, you had mentioned how the residents don't always understand why you have to wear that mask. So you explained, but you still manage to smile with your eyes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, a lot of the residents that I deal with at work, they have some form of dementia. So like Tim said, a lot of them don't really comprehend why the masks have to be worn by all the workers. So my biggest thing is just kind of give them like a friendly face, even if they can't see half of it, just even like raising my eyebrows when I smile, like that's an indication that, I'm happy to see them and I'm glad that they're doing okay. And always waving to them just as a friendly source for them to have.
Bradley, in a very different sense, obviously you're in customer service. Leah, in a sense, is in customer service. You totally are in a grocery store, right? So how do you prepare for each day?
So what I do is usually I'll just treat it like a normal day. Like I don't like to think of it as like a pandemic. I like to think of it as just I'm just going in my regular job, doing my thing. So usually I'll listen to music beforehand, come in, and I just don't want people to rub off that I'm stressed, because then if they think I'm stressed, they'll be stressed, and that doesn't result in a productive workforce. So I just keep my cool, do my thing, and treat it like a normal day.
Cool. Thank you. Lovey, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, this question had me thinking, what do your friends and family think about you all staying in this job? Like, can you talk a little bit about perhaps conversations that you may have had with them, or, ways in which you feel like, you are going to keep doing this? And yeah, so if we can start with Bradley, then go to Jacob, and then go to Leah, that would be great.
Yeah, well, I think as far as family goes, I mean, they're definitely concerned. I've always had my mom ask me like, "Oh, what did you do? Did you have your mask on the whole day? Did you wash your hands?" Like all those worrisome questions, and I totally get that. So I try to do my best to protect myself and my family. But as far as my friends go, usually we have like a lot of talk about finance, because it's ironic because I have some friends that file for unemployment and are making more than me working. So it's like little conversations like that they bring it up. But I have a friend who went back to the workforce. He works at a restaurant now. So we always like to keep up to date when we can hang out, see each other, things like that.
Leah, do you want to take this one?
Sure.
All right, that's the order, but
do you want Jacob to go, or it doesn't matter?
you can go.
Okay. Yeah, I just think just going in every day, like, yeah, it is definitely worrisome to my parents. Just obviously, just like Bradley said, they're always making sure, hand sanitizer as much as I can. And, I have to wear a mask, but they always, want to remind me to make sure to put it on. And a lot of my friends actually, they're kind of like iffy about my job, because a lot of the times, like, I'll get attached to the residents, like I'll get really close to them. And if unfortunately some of them pass away, then that'll kind of, take a toll on me as well. So they sometimes suggest that I should try and get another job, but just making those connections in the first place, like, just definitely makes it worth it. Like, yeah, it's staying set. Obviously, some of them pass away, but just having that relationship with them is really important to me.
Yeah, same thing as Bradley. My family's always concerned, but you just gotta know that it's there. It's gonna happen. But if we just hope that it doesn't, but we always want to wash our hands, put on hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. But yeah, we are concerned. We always talking about what if something happens. So it just all depends.
Yeah, that sounds really hard, guys. I mean, but I'm going to take it back to Tim. Do you have any follow-up questions?
I do. Yeah, I want to dig a little bit deeper on that question. There's listening to the three of you talk right now made me think back to when I was reporting the story. And there's one person in the story. Everybody out there who reads the piece on Sunday in the New York Times is also going to meet a young woman named Carrie No, who's from Indiana, and also works in a nursing home. She's a nursing aide, which means she actually she described it as the inglorious jobs. Like she will change people's dirty briefs, she'll bathe them. Leah works, I'm sure, with a lot of people who are nurses' aides. So Carrie's doing this job at 16, and I asked her the question I'm going to ask you all, which is, have you ever thought about not doing the job? And in her case, her answers kind of touched on things that you all were just saying. She feels very passionately about the people she's working with. She also wants to be in the medical field in the future, and she knows that this is great training right now. That was her answer. I'm kind of previewing the story there. How about for the three of you? Obviously, you stayed in this job. I'm wondering if you ever thought about not doing it, and what has kept you in it. Leah, why don't I start with you, then we'll go Bradley, Jacob. So Leah, take it.
Okay. There have been like brief moments where I was like, maybe I should, especially like just like during the pandemic, just maybe I should, take a couple shifts back, maybe only work like 1 or 2 days a week. But then, like, just for example, at our facility, family members can come to, like, we have a conference room window. So they can come to that and we can bring the residents there. Like the window can't be open or anything, but at least they can still see them. So I brought a resident there to see her daughter, and they both just broke down in tears. And it was just really moving, just, you know, because in my like age and stuff like that, I don't think there's a lot of other jobs where I can really make an impact like that. So just being able to bring someone to see their daughter and making them that much happier, it just really makes it like so worth it.
That's so sweet. That's incredible. Bradley, how about you?
Yeah, there's been every day in the workforce when I've thought like, oh, I don't get paid enough to do this. Like, this is too much work. They don't deserve me, or pessimistic thoughts like that. But then, like Leah was saying, like, we're not only doing this for ourselves, we're also doing this to help out others. So that's really powered me to keep going through all the stress. And really, I don't know when the end is, but all I know is it's not now. So I'm just keep going and go on with my job.
Jacob, we touched on this with you. Obviously, you've made some decisions about when is the right time to go up to East Baton Rouge, the bigger
Yeah.
city. But the same question, did you ever think about just like stepping back from this altogether? And in the end, what has kept you doing it?
Yeah, I have had those moments. It's a stressful job sometimes, but there's people out there that need your help, and sometimes you just gotta fight over and help them out, and they're in stress or hurt or anything like that. But it's stressful, but you got help if they need help.
Yeah, I hope you all know how much we appreciate what you're doing too. That's why, just speaking personally, that's why it was so like an awesome opportunity to write this story. Lovia, I'll throw it back over to you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask one more question before we move to the Q&As, which is, you know, you guys have talked a lot about how you are taking care of yourselves, but can you talk a little bit about how your individual workplaces are putting precautions in place so that you guys stay safe? Can we start with Jacob and then go to Bradley and then end with Leah?
Yeah, we're having precautions. We have to wear a mask all the time. It's different than normal, but we have to wear masks to protect us and others. And if we're in a vehicle together, we always have to wear a mask. But other than that, not really.
Yeah, well, I'll take this one. So if you walk in our store, just to give you a little idea of it, it's flooded with blue tape and little stickers all over the ground. And they're little arrows, and they say, stand here. It's a little confusing, not gonna lie. But that's just to keep customers going in the right aisle. And it's also, we have a box, like as I mentioned before, the stand here stickers. That's where the customers are supposed to stand when they're checking out. And that's supposed to protect both the customer and the cashier, because plexiglass is right there by the sticker. So all the stickers may sound like nonsense, but it's all there to keep the customers and employees safe. So, and obviously the mask too. And we're required to wear those. Customers are not. I've seen, it depends on the day, but sometimes it's like 60% of customers will wear them. So it's an okay turnout, but all the employees are required to wear them. And as far as gloves go and other precautions, Publix has made it so it's voluntary for employees to wear it. So we can wear gloves while bagging or cashiering.
So for me, at my place, when you come in, you have to sanitize right away. You get a mask, put it on, and then our receptionist up front will ask you, you know, do you have any symptoms? Have you been in contact with anyone with COVID? And just, you know, like basic questions. And then you'll get your temperature taken. And as long as you don't have a fever and you answer all the questions accordingly, then you're allowed to work that day. And if not, then, you know, they have the ability to send you home. And now for nursing homes in New York State, I believe Cuomo said that all nursing homes have to get tested twice a week, I believe, or something along those lines. So I'm only getting tested once a week because of the days that I work. But some of my coworkers have to get tested twice a week. And so, yeah, that's definitely a huge change for us.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so we're going to turn now to some questions from our audience members. I'll start, and then Tim can can pick up where I left off. So this question is from Moore, and I think you guys have answered it, but I think it'd be interesting to pose again, which is, are you concerned for your own safety? And are there things that you're doing to keep yourself safe? So why don't we go in the order of Jacob, Bradley, and then Leah?
Yeah, always try and protect ourselves. We have to wear a respirator on any call. Anytime you done with the call, you gotta decon everything to like clean everything and all that, and just to keep us safe. So.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely concerned. I can't hide that at all. But the way I look at it is like I'm dealing with the public. But even when you leave your house to go walk your dog, you're still dealing with the public. So I think there's no way to get around it. We don't know what the virus is, so that's obviously, we're learning more about it, but that's still concerning. But I just think whether you're in the workforce, whether you're not, if you're just like, as I mentioned, at home, like as long as you just take precautions like 6 feet, and if you want to wear a mask, then that's all we really can do at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. I am also like pretty concerned, especially since the people that I'm with are older and, you know, more at risk for it. But I always just make sure that I'm sanitizing and cleaning up as much as possible and not touching my face and just doing all the things that seem little but are still really important just to keep myself and the people that I come in contact with safe as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So we have a question from Lauren, who wants to know about your friends. She's asking, first, are your friends continuing to work during the pandemic? And secondly, how is this new life we're all in affecting your social lives? Bradley, why don't you take that first, then we'll go Jacob, Leah.
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends work in restaurants, ironically. So as they're starting to open up, most of my friends are back in the workforce, but they obviously cut their hours a little bit. Well, the restaurant cut their hours, sorry. So they're working less, but how the second part of the question, how I've been able to have like a social life, I've done more like online. So like I've turned more to like video games a little bit because that gives me a chance still to talk to my friends, and I can't really see them, but I'm still kind of with them. So that's like a nice alternative to it.
Jacob?
Yeah. Well, my friends I also work in grocery stores, and we still do stuff. We still do stuff outside, like we fish and all that, but we keep our distancing and all that. But they're concerned a little bit because I'm more at risk than they are. But other than that, they really aren't.
Leah, you're next, but I want to add a question in that Jacob just, brought to mind for me. Do your friends, when you do see them, do they ever think that maybe you put them more at risk because you might be exposed to more risk?
Sometimes.
Sorry, go ahead.
My bad. Sometimes, but not really. They are, but they don't really.
Gotcha. And then Leah, how about you?
Sometimes I'm sure it might come across their mind, but a lot of them are like working in grocery stores and restaurants too. So they're dealing with, the same, similar exposure than I am. But I think also the fact that now like that I have to get tested and that, when it comes up negative, like I know I don't have it. So that's definitely like a security reliever for me and for the people around me, like knowing that I don't have it. So yeah, it's definitely like, I'm sure it's definitely on, definitely on my mind, but definitely on theirs as well. But just taking those extra precautions for my work, like it helps, ease it a little bit.
Yeah, those tests could really provide some reassurance too.
Absolutely.
Bradley, I have to throw it back to Lovia in a moment, but anything to add to that?
No, I think those were all really points. I don't have that great of addition there.
That's good. If people aren't, if people are not looking at you and getting nervous because you're out in the public, that's awesome. It means everybody's focused, right? Okay, Lovia.
So our next question is from Azat. I feel like I didn't pronounce that right, but do you guys practice self-care or have an outlet for some of the stress that you might have on the job? Why don't we do Bradley, Jacob, and then Leah?
I'm sorry, do you mind repeating that question? Just one more time?
Do you practice self-care or have an outlet for your stress?
Well, my outlet for my stress is definitely music. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that's what I do a lot. Like that helps me keep calm, keep relaxed. But as far as self-care goes, I just remember to take time for myself because I'm working long days, usually 9 or 10 hour shifts. So I don't get home till like weird hours. So I always just try to find like an hour or two when I get home, like watch TV, just wind down. I don't want to overwhelm myself with like schoolwork, the little bit we have. So I just try to relax when I'm not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, my stress for relief is fishing and cutting grass, to be honest. But it just helps me along the way sometimes.
Yeah.
Like even if the grass is already cut, I'll go back and do it again just to calm down.
Yeah.
But
That-
yeah.
Yeah. That's like me in washing dishes. But what about you, Leah?
For me, I like to definitely just keep active. Like I love to just either go on a run or I'll go in my backyard and play soccer or bike ride or just something like that. Especially with the weather being nicer now, just to get outside and kind of just, be with myself. And I'll, like Bradley said, like music definitely helps with that. So I'll listen to music, kind of just take time to be, alone. And then it gives me a chance to just process everything and kind of, like Bradley said, wind down a little bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to throw it back to Tim to read the next question.
So we have a couple of questions that relate to school and education. I'm going to take two and put them into one for you, and then each of you are in a different place in your school life, so you can answer the question that fits best. So Lauren is asking, has education taken a backseat to your professional lives? And then there's a related question from Denise, who's wondering, how have each of you handled schooling at home and like the lack of end of year milestones, especially if, Bradley, like you're a senior, so no prom, things like that. Bradley, since I called you out there, why don't you, and you're our senior, why don't you take that?
Well, yeah, I think as far as like schoolwork, because I'm a senior, like, it's already taken a backseat. That's not because of work. Like at least in North Carolina, it was made voluntary. Like there's no grades for students, seniors at least. So it's been voluntary work, and I've done the work. I've at least got in contact with my teachers and said, hey, can I turn in my assignments every Sunday? That way I'm still working on it. And I'm not just putting it off because I care about my education. I'm going to college. I don't want to be left out there not knowing anything when college comes around. So no, I think it's already been in the backseat, but I'm still keeping up with my schoolwork.
Yeah, Jacob, go ahead.
Yes, it's kind of a mixed match. Whenever I can, I'm still doing it all, but it's even if I am working, I'm doing it around. Like if we don't have a call or something, I'll be doing my schoolwork and all that. So it just all comes in at once.
Gotcha. Now, Leah, you're 18, but in college, so that's a little different perspective. What was this semester like for you, and how did you balance college workload with working at the nursing home?
Well, obviously, I'm not the only one that's going through this, having their years cut short, but it really kind of threw me off to just, start really getting the hang of my freshman year, and then, going on spring break and having them be like, rest of the semester, you're going to be online. It was definitely a huge adjustment. Like I'm one of those people that likes to be in the physical classroom. So having to watch like lectures online and stuff like that. I mean, I still obviously like I did the work and everything, but it really wasn't the same for me. My teachers made themselves like very available and they were very helpful, but like I said, I just like actually being in the class. So it was really, really different for me.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you guys so much for being with us. I really appreciate you, Bradley, Jacob, and Leah, and as well, Tim. I wish we could like keep going, honestly, because there's so many other questions I have for you guys. So thank you everyone who's watching for joining us today. The May issue for the New York Times for Kids will be in the paper this Sunday. This conversation is part of our virtual event series, Live at Home. We'll be hosting another New York Times for Kids event next Wednesday, June 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So visit us at timesevents.nytimes.com to find more about next week's event and our full slate of digital events. And finally, we want to give a special thank you to all of our subscribers who make this work possible. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.